President Biden facing ongoing pressure from within his own party and beyond to bow out of November's election after last Thursday's debate performance, with many calling into question his mental fitness for another 4 years in office. For more on the president's future, let's bring in Terry Haynes, Pangea Policy founder here. Terry, what are your anticipations going into this weekend, knowing that there's a big interview that President Biden is going to be doing where the Americans will have another opportunity to assess the acuity?
Well, thanks for having me. I said right after the debate last week that I didn't think the president would get out for a very simple reason. You don't try to become president for 50 years and then chuck it after one debate performance. But now he's in a situation where, he doesn't have three strikes and you're out. He's already had one strike. He gets one more. So every day between now and the election, he's either going to have to convince people, the regular voters, that as well as the party grandees and fundraisers and the like, the regular voters, that he's up to the task and he's able to actually carry this thing off and win it. Otherwise, he's going to be gone pretty quickly.
What do you make of the number of big money donors that are shifting how they're prioritizing their giving to the Democratic Party and specifically to the Biden campaign, with this question mark kind of looming large over this weekend?
Look, in politics, as in many other professions, the motivations have a whole lot more selfish than you'd think, and I think that's what's going on with a lot of these donors who have already put up a substantial amount of money, have pledged a little bit more, and are in a situation where they're threatening, as you say, to repurpose or whatever. But the fundraisers always think they have an outsized impact on the political machinations on the inside, and they're not able, I don't think, to affect the result much. They can provide a little extra push if it comes to that, but they're not in control.
Terry, you're currently in London. What's your reaction to yesterday's UK election results with Labour taking over in the next government? And what would happen if Trump were to win the presidency, or if Biden or another Democrat were to win?
Well, the election is an interesting one of a landslide with no mandate. Jane Foley was talking about this a little bit, but I'll give you kind of a slightly different look for it. Labour won about 2/3 of the seats in the Commons, yet had a 35% vote share. And first past the post really means, for American audiences, really means nothing different than what we have. But what you had in the Commons elections were 3 or 4 or sometimes even 5 political parties going at it for each individual seat. So you get a situation where Labour's seat totals are pushed up because the opposition votes split between the Conservatives and Reform, let's say. Similarly, Conservatives lost an outsized number of seats, frankly, because of Reform. And you've got two political parties, the Lib Dems with their best ever showing, and you've got this new Reform Party with 4 seats, even though they got 15% of the vote. But what you see here is not a mandate for Labor or Labor's policies, but frankly, a situation where there's disgust and dissatisfaction with conventional politics as it's been practiced in the UK. Now, finally, what Starmer's going to have to do is proceed cautiously and, frankly, bring the country along with him. So, you're not going to see Labor jump in here and all of a sudden start wildly taxing people, the way a prior government might have done, because that's just not going to wash with people. They've worked very hard to get credibility back, and they can't squander it immediately.
Terry Haynes, Pangea Policy founder. Terry, good to see you here, and thanks so much for taking the time. It's got to be at least afternoon some time over in the UK. Thanks so much.